Now, as the world celebrates Health Day, more South Africans are battling to afford nutritious food. This has led to many people suffering from a persistent micronutrient deficiency, impacting their physical health. So let's bring in now Leanne Kiezer, who is a Corporate Affairs Manager at Danone Southern Africa. Leanne, thank you for joining us for this conversation this afternoon. Let's look at the country's micronutrient deficiency. How can we tackle this from a food production point of view?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Clement, for the opportunity to address the viewers today. And as you mentioned, this is all in celebration of World Health Day, which was actually on the 7th of April, on Friday. And, you know, the first thing I think that we need to address is, what does this mean? What is the micronutrient deficiency issue that we're talking about? And so micronutrients, really a term that people will understand well, is talking about the vitamins and minerals in your diet. And you'll know that each day, you know, we have a certain level of intake that we need to achieve each day through our diet in order to achieve health or good, healthy, functioning bodies. And in South Africa, we unfortunately see that that is not the case. So the stats we have, for example, is that 4 in 10 children are still deficient in vitamin A, which is a common vitamin that helps to support eye health and immunity. 4 in 10 are still deficient in zinc, also a nutrient which helps to contribute to immunity, and 1 in 10 are deficient in iron. And day to day overall, we know that on average, children are eating less than 67% of what their daily needs are. And so there's really a call to a number of stakeholders involved in this. Number one, of course, to food manufacturers, who absolutely have a responsibility to influence the credentials of the foods that they put onto the market so that they can help to address this nutrient deficiency gap. And then, of course, to our consumers themselves, really calling on us all, particularly for children, to make better food choices which can, you know, help to close those nutrient gaps and set ourselves up for success, especially for our children who are growing and developing.
So it's going to take different people to address this. I suppose you want the, you know, corporate South Africa to also play a role in tackling food health. Are they playing a role? And because the problem here is also that not only do we have these high levels of food insecurity as it is, but so too has food inflation that's risen to about 9.9%. So you want to increase affordability to fortified food products as a route to addressing this challenge.
Yep, absolutely. Corporate South Africa has a role to play because ultimately they are responsible for what's available for consumers on their shelves. And from Danone's perspective, you know, it's one of our goals, it's our mission, in fact, to serve health through food to South Africans. And so what does that mean? It means, first of all, that health is a consideration when we develop a food and put it onto the market. So that means a number of things. For example, we need to try and control the amount of fat, calories, sodium or salt and sugar in the product. We should be controlling that and moderating it and keeping it to a limit, while we try to encourage the positive nutrients that people should be eating more of. So for dairy foods, for Danone, we'll try to protect and encourage the intake of protein and of calcium as well.
Yeah.
Step one. The second step then is to then consider the local needs of your community. So over and above the fact that we should all be sort of controlling those sort of negative nutrients and having more of the positive ones, we also see the local context of micronutrient deficiency. So the addition or the enrichment of foods with those nutrients known to be lacking in the local context is enormously helpful to really close that nutrient gap. Another Danone example of this is the product we have called Nutri-Day, which is a dairy-based product. By its nature, carries those intrinsic health credentials, but then in addition to that has been enriched with the nutrients we talked about this morning, so that you know, one serving of that product can really again help to close that nutrient gap. But there's a third part to this, to your point, and that is to make sure that the food is affordable and accessible so that South Africans can reach it. And I think that there is, you know, true or not, there is sort of a suspicion that healthy eating requires money. It requires, you know, an investment. It's difficult to eat healthily because it's an expensive thing to achieve. But in fact, if you make smart choices just at various moments across the day, for example, the moment of snacking. So we know that in South Africa today, a commonly consumed snack is, for children, something like crisps, your high salt, high calorie, low nutrient snacks. These are unfortunately the number one snack that children are eating in South Africa today. And if there was just one step taken in your day to substitute that snack for a different food, for example, a fruit or a vegetable or, perhaps a Nutri-Day yogurt, which has been enriched, which I mentioned just now, that would immediately change the amount of nutrients that child is consuming and would literally help to close the nutrient gap. And, in this case, it wasn't an expensive substitution to make, but rather it would be about compromising one food which probably didn't offer the most in health credentials and rather introducing another one and substituting it in for that moment. And if you make these small exchanges, you can achieve healthy eating on a budget in an affordable way.
Yeah. Well, Leanne Kiezer, thank you so much for making time for us this afternoon.